recorded, then OSMA, you may begin your presentation whenever you're ready. Let me take Budak off of presenting and put you on. Okay, so OSMA, you are now a presenter. You have control of the presentation. OSMA, if you're speaking, I can't hear you right now, so I'm not sure if anyone else can, but I cannot. I see that your microphone is unmuted. It's not muted, but I can't hear you for some reason.
So can you hear me now?
Yes, it's kind of light, but I can at least hear you, or could.
What about this?
It's still very faint. Hmm. Hmm.
Can I?
What was that? Hmm.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, it's a little faint, but I could make out that last thing you just said.
Screen. Okay.
Yeah. Are you using like a microphone off of a headphones? Is that what's going on? Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really able to hear you. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing the same problem.
We can't hear you either. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Edinch. Okay, well, not really sure what to do because it may be a technical issue on your end, on your either your computer's microphone or your headphones microphone or whatever. How about this, if possible? Maybe OSMA, would you be able to maybe record a presentation sometime today before noon? And maybe we can, if you can send it to me, I can upload it to the Microsoft Stream channel for this course. Yeah, and just check it. I think you can, if you can use Teams, I think maybe you can record a presentation, maybe. So let's try to do it that way, because I think us are having difficulty hearing you right now. And yeah, I think it would be hard to follow along if you just kind of just cycled through the slides and we didn't have any audio for it. So go ahead and try to record, like I said, a presentation between now and if you can do that before the afternoon, before too late in the afternoon, because I like I said, we do have a deadline on when grades have to be submitted. So let's do that, and then I'll upload it to the stream channel for the other students who would want to view it. So let's see. Let me do one thing. Okay. So let me go ahead and do this then. What we'll do is I will go ahead and pull up the lecture for the final review. I made up some slides for the final review, and I'll share that. Okay. All right. So this year, it's been very different from times past. So, but this exam, as the last time I checked, is going to be on Monday, the 25th of January. That'll be 10 days from today, at 4:30 in the afternoon. It'll be 110 minutes, and your location, you'll have to be here on Microsoft Teams. Last year, what I did for the final exam was we had 2 rooms that we put the students into, and I used kind of, for those of you again who've had me before, I'll randomize your room assignment using a code of some kind, and I will probably do something like that again, where I'll make 2 different forms for you to look at, and make sure you choose the right one, and give some bonus points if you choose the correct form to submit. Okay. So it'll be out of 100 points, just like the midterm was, and then represents 40% of your final grade. That's for, I think that's for everybody. I think that's both the 313 and the 5041, if I'm not mistaken. So, all right. As far as what's going to be covered, all right, all topics that we discussed. All right, we actually, I think we did cover logs this semester. I'm sorry, let me see, what's that question? I saw a question. Saw a question pop up in here. Oh, never mind, something else. Thought that was for this course. Where was I? Okay, yeah. So all the topics that we talked about in the lecture times, we will you may expect that there may be questions from those sections. Okay, and I'm not going to give you some like what did this say on page 45 of this thing or whatever. It's not going to be like that at all. I want to know, I want to add, as best as I can, assess your understanding of the mechanisms of the of how we do system security and how we do system administration. Okay, so how do we manage files? How do we create and view those files? How do we control who has access to those files? And stuff like that. All right, so what's the format? Well, the format was actually based on, this format slide is based on last year's exam, final exam. I would expect that it'll look similar to that, just like if you looked at the midterm exam, the PDF that I uploaded, and then you also took the midterm on the Microsoft form for this course, you notice that there was a lot of similarity, it was online instead of on paper. So you can expect that that'll probably be the same here, that I will probably take the final exam from last year, format wise, as a basis for how to make up the Microsoft form for us to be able to do this again. All right. In fact, I did upload a final example with solutions for last semester. So let me pull that up. Let me share that right now. Just kind of go through and show you kind of the format of how this will be done. Okay. All right. So if you see here, let me pull this over here. Okay. So if you see here, we have this section that's basically just I give you a term or a concept or something, and I want you to explain it to me. Now, you won't find, like the text that I have here, you won't find that specific text probably in any source. You'll probably, you won't find that in the text for this course. You might not find it exactly like that on Google or anything like that. That's what I'm looking for. I want you to explain it to me how you understand this concept or this term. Okay, so I don't want you just copying off of your Google search or out of the text. What is a root? What is a zombie process? Whatever. So I want you to help me understand, what do you understand about what those things are? Okay. Let's see. These 5 terms, expect that those will not be the 5 terms that I give you on the final exam this year, because I'm giving them to you here, so I probably won't give them to you on the new final exam. Okay. Here, I gave a question based on connections and creating them and activating them. You'll recognize this question from the midterm exam. So, it's. I think I changed something about it, but so I won't go through that because many of you understood how to do this. Okay, a couple of these. So in here, there's another example. I think again I did a slight change from this question. Part of the fact that the midterm was so late this semester, it allowed me to put some of these concepts and these topics that would have only been reserved for the final exam onto the midterm exam, because they were more fresh in your memory. I wanted to give them to you in the earlier exam instead. Okay. So for those of you who were wondering about this question, about the ones about file access, this is really important. Like, this is one of those things that I really want you guys to understand about how file access rights are granted, is that if we were to run the ls-l command, we would get the file information with the file name, who the user owner is, who the group owner is, and this information here that shows what our permissions are. Okay, so what so what we can glean from that, what we can learn from this is, okay, user 1 can read. Okay, so user 1 is this user here. Well, he can read file 1. Yes. Okay. Can he read file 2? He's in the exam group, so yes, he can read that, because even though he's not the owner, he's part of the group owner. Okay, good. User 1 can write. Well, he's the owner of this file. He can write that file. Yes. Can he write file 2? Well, no. He's part of the group, which means these are our permissions that we're looking at. He cannot write to the second file. User 2 can read file 1. Well, user 2, part of the exam group. Yes. And this was the one that was going to be problematic. This one was the one that was going to be difficult for some of you to grasp, but I made sure to go over this multiple times in the lecture, is that even though he's the owner of this file, the user owner, he does not have permission to read it, and as the owner. And this is where we get kind of like, we don't understand why it's done this way, but this is how it's done. Even though he's also the file owner first, if he's the owner, this is what he gets. Doesn't matter if he's part of a group that also owns the. Okay. And then as far user 2 can write, yes, he can write to both files, as we see here. Okay. So make sure you understand that. Make sure you understand that how permissions are granted. Okay. Then the whole links and how hard links and soft links are done. I gave a section on When we delete the original file to the original file, we remove the file, it still exists, right? We can still access the file, it's still there, but the soft link, it points to, if the soft was in file1.txt, the soft link points to a thing. Remember, a hard link points to the file itself. A soft link points to the hard link that points to the file. So if we remove a hard link, if there are other hard links to the same file, we can still access it. If we remove a hard link and there are soft links that point to that hard link, then that gets hanging, that gets removed. Okay. Again, this one too. This one will look familiar to you from the midterm also. Basically, what I was looking for in this, so this is kind of a midterm review as well, midterm review of the actual midterm from this semester, was what I was looking for was to notice that it was enabled. Yep. Okay, it's enabled, but it's inactive, okay, which means it's not running. It's not active. Okay, so it stopped. Inactive and enabled was what I wanted you to understand from this information that we saw. You know, some of you, did you understand that it's an enabled service that is currently live? Okay. Describe two possible scenarios for how it came to be in this state. Well, it could have been started at startup because it was enabled, but now it has been stopped since then. Someone deactivated it. Someone made it inactive since then. The other possibility was it was disabled at startup. So when we started up the system, it wasn't running, right? But it's been enabled since. So next start the system, it will be active. That's just two possible scenarios. There's all kinds of others. It could have been started and enabled at startup. Then it was disabled. Then it was inactive, and then it was enabled again. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities, right? There's all kinds of possibilities of how it could. These are just the two simplest ones. It either was enabled at startup, it started, it was active. Sorry, and it was made inactive. Or the other possibility was it didn't start it. It was disabled. Okay. Then command to start there's like the secure shell stuff. Okay. One of the main things I wanted to have on this was understanding what happens if we log in as root. Now we just keep saying incorrect password, incorrect, can't log in. And why do we receive this message? So that we don't give hackers any more information than what they need, right? We don't want them to know that we've disabled root access. We want them to continue trying new passwords until they just give up. Okay. All right. And then one thing I showed this last semester. I don't think we were able to do this semester, but there is a way to still be able to get into the root from a remote server, even if we've disabled root access directly. And basically what it is, we log in using SSH to the remote server as a registered user on the system, and then we could switch into root from there. What we would need to know in order to do this is, one, we would have to know the password of the registered user on the remote system. Then we would also still have to know the root password on that. So, here now we're getting where not only do I have to know the password of somebody who's authorized to use the remote server, but I also need to know the password of the root on that remote server. So that's a lot for a hacker to be able to figure out. That's a lot for them to be able to know. All right, so it's still, a secure system. It's just not 100%, right? There's still a way to get into root from a remote server if we've disabled root access. All right. Okay, so let me again for OSMA, please try to figure out a way. I'm so sorry that you had some type of Yeah, let me answer that in just a second, Ed Inch. So, I don't know what was going on, but we were just completely unable to hear your presentation. So if you can figure out a way to record that, man, gosh, maybe even with like just use your phone or something. I don't know. But if you can figure out a way to get that to us today, early enough that that the rest of the students could view it. So, Rich, to answer your question, I think what I'll do is I will not include that presentation as a necessity because I want you guys to be able to go ahead and I have gone ahead and for now I went ahead and downloaded the attendance lists for this when OSMA tried to start her presentation so that you get credit for at least attending this presentation already. So you'll at least get credit for that. And again, what I did was my plan was there would be 4 presentations. Yeah, 4 presentations, and I basically said, 5 points for attending, 5 points for asking a question or making a comment. And so a possibility of up to 40 points, but I made the assignment a maximum of 25. So what that means is as long if you attended all 4 presentations and made 1 comment, then you get 25 points. If you attended all 4 presentations and made 4 comments, I got for that. So yeah. So I hope that clears that. I hope that helps you understand what I was looking for in the presentation. Whatever's in, please go ahead and watch the videos of the presentations. I'm going to upload them immediately upon ending this call, and then watch the report so that I can know that you viewed the presentation. Okay. All right. So we will end there for today. Again, are there any other questions maybe related to the final exam or to any other this presentation stuff? Thank you guys again for a great semester. I know this was not at all what any of us had hoped for for the fall of 2020, but I hope we were able to make the best of it and that you guys were still able to learn this material and grow in some way in your understanding of our field and of specifically of how to administrate a system. So, all right, guys, thank you, and I will next time.